For nearly 40 years, I have lived my life alongside the complexities of the human brain. I have seen the marvel of its resilience and, frankly, the tragedy of its decline. The truth is, if you are watching me right now, I know what worries you. It's that chilling, quiet fear that keeps you up at night, the fear of a simple lapse becoming a permanent loss. The fear of dementia. And I must start with an uncomfortable truth. Right now, even as you sit there, your brain is, on a microscopic level, shrinking. This isn't a theory. It is a fact established by every major neuroscientific institution, from the Mayo Clinic to Johns Hopkins. What breaks my heart is knowing that this destructive process, this physical shrinking, begins 6 full years before the diagnosis ever hits. 6 years. The hippocampus, your brain's librarian, the center responsible for filing new memories, starts to atrophy 3 to 5 times faster than it should. I remember staring at those initial scans years ago, seeing the atrophy begin, and feeling this overwhelming sense of helplessness. I wanted to scream, "We have to do something now." Patients would walk into my clinic, seemingly fine, talking about their grandchildren and their plans for retirement. Yet, the images on my screen told a terrifyingly different story. They were unknowingly living on borrowed time. But I want you to push that fear aside for just a moment. Because I have spent the last decade searching, studying, and confirming that the story does not have to end there. My purpose today is to tell you about the breakthrough. It's not a new, expensive pharmaceutical pill. It is something simple, something you can start right now, something confirmed by a preliminary study at the UCLA Brain Health Research Center. Just 3 minutes a day. They took seniors who were starting to show that early decline, the mild cognitive impairment, and put them on a deceptively simple routine. The result after only 8 weeks was staggering. The blood flow to their brain, that vital lifeline of oxygen and nutrients, increased by 22%. And their actual memory test scores jumped up 15%. This proves it, dear friends. Your mind is not broken. It is simply starving. It is a car running out of gas. Those senior moments, those slips of the tongue, they are a distress signal. They mean the blood flow, the essential fuel line, is restricted. Today, I am sharing my 5-step daily routine for cognitive support. This is based on the culmination of my life's work. Please, I urge you, do not navigate away. Let me give you back the hope and the tools you need to become your own memory guardian. The unspoken signals, your brain's 6-year warning. When I speak to my younger colleagues, the conversation is often about the late stages of Alzheimer's. But I tell them, the crisis isn't the diagnosis, the crisis is the 6 years leading up to it. That is when we still have the power to intervene. I want to walk you through the subtle, often ignored, signals your brain is sending. These are the cries for help that we dismiss as just getting older. Let me tell you about John D., a 52-year-old man, sharp as a tack, a highly successful attorney. His life was logic and contracts. He thought he was invincible. His decline didn't start with forgetting his daughter's name. It started with a tiny, agonizing moment in a deposition. He knew the legal term, a key piece of jargon worth millions, was right there, behind his eyes. But he couldn't grasp it. It was like reaching into an empty cupboard. He had to fake a cough, look down, and stall until the word finally clawed its way out. The fear in his eyes when he told me this, it was the fear of losing control, of losing himself. And when I showed him his scan deterioration, usually seen in a man 15 years his senior, we both just sat in silence for a long time. His brain, hungry for stimulation and circulation, was starting to fail him too soon. This is why we must listen to the body's subtle language. The 7 cries for help, the pre-dementia signals. 1. The recent memory paradox. You remember the exact year you met your spouse, the color of the curtains in your first apartment, and the lyrics to every song from the 60s. But you cannot, for the life of you, recall the name of the kind nurse who helped you yesterday, or what you had for breakfast. That is recent memory loss, and it is the biggest flag. Why? Because the hippocampus, the new memory factory, is failing first. The old, deeply carved memories are temporarily safe elsewhere, but the production line for new ones has ground to a halt. 2. Intention failure. The standing still moment. You walk into the garage. Why? You stop. You stare. Total blank. You feel that flush of frustration. It's more than simple distraction. It's a breakdown in the frontal lobe, the brain's CEO. It is failing to hold the goal in its short-term working memory while it executes the physical act of walking. My patient, Karen, 67, used to write herself notes to remember to check the notes she had already written. It becomes a vicious cycle of forgetfulness. 3. The word block and repetition. You hear yourself repeating stories, maybe 3 times in an hour. It's embarrassing, yes, but it's a symptom, not a flaw. You are also relying on those vague filler words, hand me the thingamajig over there, or, it was on the whatchamacallit. The image is crystal clear in your mind, but the language pathway, the actual road in your brain, is blocked. It is a communication jam between the visual cortex and the language center. 4. Loss of your inner GPS. Have you ever hesitated on your usual route to the supermarket? That sudden, sickening feeling of, wait, is this the right turn? This is your brain's spatial navigation system, located in the parietal and occipital lobes, losing fuel. When the blood flow here drops, the brain struggles to process familiar landmarks and generate a cognitive map. It is the beginning of the end of independent driving, and that is a major lifestyle shift. 5. Calculation clumsiness. Simple arithmetic becomes a nightmare. Trying to figure out the tip at a restaurant or balancing a checkbook, tasks that were once automatic now require intense, painful concentration. This is the frontal lobe's judgment and executive function beginning to falter. The ability to sequence numbers and apply logic is often one of the first things to suffer when the brain is struggling with circulation. 6. Apathy and the loss of joy. You used to love gardening. Now, the tools sit rusting. You used to play bridge every Tuesday. Now, the thought of social effort feels too heavy. This isn't depression, although it can look like it. This is apathy, and it is a core early symptom of the cognitive slide. The brain is so energy-starved that it cuts off the circuits that govern motivation and the release of dopamine. It's easier to sit still than to think. 7. Unfiltered personality changes. The most frightening change for family members: the sudden shift. A sweet, cautious husband becomes irritable, short-tempered, or shockingly impulsive. He might binge eat or use language he never would have before. The emotional regulator in the brain, the last line of defense for impulse control, is compromised. The brain's brake system is failing, allowing unfiltered emotion to surface. If you recognized 3 or more of those signals, please breathe deeply. Do not panic. You have done the hardest part, you have acknowledged the signal. Now, we move to the diagnosis of why this is happening. The modern saboteurs: why our young brains are starving. When I started my practice, we saw this decline primarily in the truly elderly, the late 80s and 90s. Today, I see patients in their late 40s and early 50s presenting with these symptoms. It is a lifestyle epidemic. We are actively, unwittingly, sabotaging our own blood flow through modern life. We think we are managing, but our brains are screaming for help. The 5 habits choking your brain's lifeline. 1. The brain cleanup crisis: sleep deprivation. You are proud of getting only 5 hours of sleep? You think you are productive? Frankly, you are causing a catastrophe in your head. When you sleep, your brain is not resting, it is cleaning. The glymphatic system works overtime, using cerebrospinal fluid to wash away the toxic protein known as beta amyloid. This is the sludge that kills nerve cells and destroys memory. If you routinely get less than 6 hours, that toxic sludge builds up. It blocks the neural pathways. It suffocates the hippocampus. It is non-negotiable. Poor sleep is dementia fuel. 2. The silent killers: chronic inflammation. Uncontrolled high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and high cholesterol, the modern trinity of chronic illness, are not just heart problems. They are brain problems. They cause microvascular disease. Think of the blood vessels in your brain not as large pipes, but as millions of tiny, delicate capillaries, like fine spiderwebs. Hypertension and diabetes harden and narrow these capillaries. The brain is starved of oxygen. Patients with untreated hypertension have more than double the risk of cognitive decline, because the blood simply cannot reach the deep, vital structures of the brain. You can feel fine, but the tiniest blood vessels are already sealing shut. 3. The inflammatory diet, the sugary assault. The processed foods, the refined carbohydrates, the trans fats in those frozen dinners, they are an inflammatory disaster. Refined carbs cause a violent surge and crash of blood sugar, which stresses the brain's metabolic system. Trans fats are the worst offenders. They harden the cell walls and the arteries, literally impeding the fluidity of blood flow. Your brain is 60% fat. You need clean, healthy fats, not this manufactured garbage that inflames and starves your nerve cells. 4. The sedentary epidemic, the stagnant brain. We sit for 15 hours a day. We drive to the grocery store. We drive to the gym. We sit on the couch. Your leg muscles are massive pumps. When you sit, those pumps shut down. Your blood flow becomes stagnant. And what does the brain love most? Oxygen. Exercise, even moderate, brisk walking, releases a miracle substance called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I call it miracle grow for the brain. It encourages new nerve cells to grow, specifically in the hippocampus. If you are sitting, you are shrinking your memory center. It's that simple. 5. The isolated mind, the brain on mute. Social isolation is not peaceful retirement, it is inflammatory isolation. The research is crystal clear. Loneliness creates chronic stress and inflammation in the body and the brain. Conversation lively, engaging dialogue forces your brain to perform simultaneous, high-level processing, reading facial cues, hearing context. Retrieving a memory, formulating a response. It forces the entire brain to fire like a well-tuned engine. When you are alone for long stretches, the engine idles, and the rust begins to set in. I know that sounds overwhelming. But here is my professional promise to you: the brain is plastic. It can heal, it can regenerate. I have seen the evidence in my clinic. I saw the blood flow increase by 22% in a clinical trial. Your brain is simply waiting for a signal, a precise, consistent signal to start the repair process. And that is exactly what we are going to do right now. I will show you the 5 simple, 3-minute routines you must start today. These are your daily signals. The 5-step daily routine. Supporting your brain's fuel line. This is where the fear stops and the action begins. I call this the low-volume, high-frequency approach. It is not a marathon, it is a series of short, powerful sprints that feed your brain exactly what it needs: consistent circulation and stimulation. Routine 1. The neuro-linguistic fire-up pa-ka-ra. Believe it or not, moving your mouth and tongue is one of the fastest, most effective ways to boost blood flow to the frontal lobe, the area responsible for judgment and speech. Fully 1/3 of the motor cortex in your brain is dedicated to the complex, intricate movements of your face and tongue. We are going to target this directly. The pa-ka-ra drill. We use 3 distinct sounds that force different muscles to engage: the lips, the back of the throat, and the tongue tip. Pa, the lip burst. Press your lips together firmly. Release the air sharply. Focus on the pop. Feel the muscles around your mouth tense and release. Ka, the throat eruption. Push the sound out from the deep back of your throat. Don't let your tongue or lips interfere. A clean, guttural sound. Ra, the tongue spring. Touch the tip of your tongue quickly and lightly to the ridge right behind your upper front teeth. The tongue needs to spring back elastically. The method: combine them into a rhythmic chain. Pa-ka-ra, pa-ka-ra, pa-ka-ra. Repeat this sequence 10 times, 3 times a day. Maybe after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It takes 60 seconds, tops. The first few times, you will feel awkward. The tongue might stumble, the sounds might slur. That feeling of effort and confusion is the sweet spot. It means your brain is forging a new, faster neural connection to complete the task. The advanced challenge. The brain scramble. Now, try it backward. Ra-ka-pa, ra-ka-pa, ra-ka-pa. The brain hates it when you reverse a pattern. That moment of struggle is where the growth happens. Tongue calisthenics. Your tongue is an incredibly complex muscle. We must make it work in ways that are non-standard. Cheek press. Close your mouth. Push the tip of your tongue against your left cheek from the inside, making a noticeable bulge. Hold for 2 seconds. Switch to the right, 10 times each side. Feel the muscle deep inside your cheek activating. Internal figure 8s. With your mouth closed, slowly, accurately, draw the number 8 with the tip of your tongue inside your mouth. 5 repetitions. This isolates the fine motor control of the tongue muscle, forcing the brain to issue very precise instructions. This small investment in your mouth is a massive investment in your frontal lobe. Routine 2. The external brain connection. Fingertip coordination. Your hands are often described as your external brain. The sensory and motor feedback from your fingertips is immense. When you move your hands with precision and complexity, you are sending a symphony of signals to your motor and sensory cortices, demanding action and increasing circulation. Fingertip tapping progression. We start with simple, bilateral tapping and then introduce complexity. Start. Place your hands on a table or your lap. Simultaneously tap the tip of your thumb to your index finger on both hands. Progression. Move to the thumb and middle finger. Then the thumb and ring finger. Finally, the thumb and pinky finger. The return. The difficulty is maintaining the sequence as you move back from the pinky to the index finger. Repeat the full cycle out and back 10 times. The key. Accuracy over speed. Don't rush. If one finger taps ahead of the other, stop, reset, and try again. That intentional correction is what reinforces the neural pathway. Palm back clap coordination. This exercise forces the corpus callosum, the superhighway that connects the left and right sides of your brain to fire efficiently. Extend your arms forward. Clap your palms together once. Frontal lobes coordinate timing. Immediately rotate your hands and gently tap the backs of your hands together once. Spatial lobes re-coordinate the new angle. Sequence. Clap, tap, clap, tap. Repeat this 20 times. This is fundamental bilateral stimulation. When you struggle with this, it's a direct signal that the communication highway between your hemispheres is getting sluggish. This simple, rhythmic action clears the traffic. Anecdote. I had a retired engineer, Mr. Charlie F., age 81, who was struggling with the tiny screws on his model train sets. After 3 months of consistent fingertip and clap exercises, he came back with a huge smile. He said, "Helen, I feel like I'm wearing my old gloves again." That's not just hand dexterity, that's the brain taking control back. Routine 3. The brain's fuel pump. Brisk walking. Do not underestimate the power of simply walking. It is not just about your heart, it is about your brain. Brisk walking is one of the single most reliable ways to help support the growth of your hippocampus. I know, it sounds like science fiction, but it is true. Research confirms that 30 minutes of brisk walking can help grow your memory center. And, critically, increases overall cerebral blood flow by up to 25%. Your leg muscles act as a secondary heart. They pump blood vigorously back up toward the core, ensuring a massive delivery of oxygen-rich blood directly to your head. How to achieve brisk? A leisurely stroll is nice, but it is not medicine. Medicine requires effort. The talk test. This is my favorite metric. You should be able to speak in short sentences, but not be able to sing. If you can hold a full, flowing conversation, you are moving too slowly. If you cannot speak at all, you are pushing too hard. Find the Goldilocks zone just right. Arm drive. Actively swing your arms. Swing them in a rhythmic pump from shoulder height down to your hips. The arm swing coordinates with the leg pump and increases the metabolic demand, which feeds your brain even more oxygen. The stride. You should feel your feet hitting the ground in a steady, deliberate pace. Aim for a pace that totals about 100 steps per minute, a purposeful, driven walk. The daily 30-minute commitment. First 3 minutes. Warm up. Slow, gentle pace. Roll your shoulders back. Feel your feet making contact with the ground. The next 24 minutes. Brisk work. Hit your therapeutic, brisk pace. Maintain the talk test level. Feel the slight shortness of breath. That is the oxygen flow increasing. Final 3 minutes. Cool down. Slow down to a stroll. Do not stop suddenly. Allow your heart rate to gently stabilize. Your walking speed is a direct biomarker of your brain's age. Studies show that slow walkers have, on average, a brain that appears 10 years older than their chronological age. Walk faster, and you are literally slowing down the clock in your head. Put on your comfortable shoes, grab a buddy or listen to your favorite music, and get out there today. Routine 4. Unclogging the brain's highway. Neck and scalp release. This routine is about mechanics. The blood vessels that feed your brain. The carotid and vertebral arteries. Pass right through the intricate layers of muscles in your neck and the base of your skull. If you are tense, stressed, or sitting at a computer all day, those muscles become hard, tight knots that literally restrict the blood supply. I have reviewed brain scans that show a dramatic, immediate increase in blood flow simply by getting patients to relax and release the tension in these areas. Neck and trapezius release. The unclogging. Warm the hands. Rub your palms together briskly for 10 seconds until they feel warm. Warmth enhances circulation. The downward sweep. Lymphatic drain. Place your hands on the sides of your neck, just behind your ears, at the bony bump. Use a gentle, warm pressure to slowly sweep your hands downwards, toward your collarbone. The pace takes 5 full seconds to sweep down. Repeat this 5 times on each side. This gentle motion helps drain stagnant lymphatic fluid and eases tension along the major blood pathways. Target the knot. Trapezius. Bring one hand across your shoulder. Find that hard, tense ridge of muscle, the trapezius. Cup it with your whole hand. Apply steady, firm pressure. Slowly squeeze and sweep toward the tip of your shoulder. You are physically relaxing the muscle that is tightening around your arteries. 5 slow repetitions on each side. Scalp and occipital tapping. The scalp is covered in a vast network of tiny capillaries. We need to wake them up. Full scalp tap. Use the pads of your fingertips, not your nails, and gently, rhythmically tap your entire scalp. Start at the crown, move to the sides, and cover the entire surface. The occipital focus. Concentrate particularly on the occiput, the lower, curved area at the back of your skull. The major blood vessels that climb to the back of the brain pass through here. Gently press and massage this area with steady, circular motions for 30 seconds. The wind down. Finally, cup your entire head with your hands. Inhale slowly. As you exhale, gently press your hands down the sides of your head, releasing all that accumulated tension. Imagine the stress melting away. This ritual, especially before bed, is profoundly restorative. It's a physical signal to your body the crisis is over. Rest, repair, and circulate. Routine 5. The ultimate brain test. Standing on one leg. This last routine is deceptively simple, yet neurologically profound. Your ability to balance is a direct, measurable reflection of your brain's fitness. Balance requires the simultaneous, perfect coordination of 3 complex systems: vision, inner ear, vestibular system, and proprioception, the body's sense of where it is in space. When you stand on one leg, you are demanding that your cerebellum, the control center, and your frontal lobe, the judgment center, work in flawless sync. A well-known study in London showed that those who could not maintain a single leg stand for at least 10 seconds had double the risk of future cognitive decline. This is not about being clumsy, it's about your brain's ability to process and react instantly. The 10-second balance challenge. Safety first. Stand next to a sturdy counter, a chair, or a wall. You need to be able to catch yourself quickly. Lift one foot and aim for 10 continuous seconds. If you wobble, that is okay. The wobbling is proof of intense neurological activity. Your brain is scrambling to correct the instability, and that correction is the exercise itself. Switch to the other leg. Left leg, then right leg. Repeat this sequence just 3 times a day. The advanced test. The blind spot. Once you can hold the stance for 20 seconds easily, try it with your eyes closed. Warning: do this only in a completely safe area. Maybe in the corner of your bedroom with a wall on 2 sides. Integration. The easiest way to form this habit? Do it while you brush your teeth. 2 minutes, twice a day, on one foot, then the other. It is simple, consistent, and demands high-level focus at the start of your day. My dearest friends, we have covered a lot of ground today. We faced the difficult truth of the 6-year warning, identified the modern risks, and now you have the 5-step daily routine for cognitive support. Pa-ka-ra, hands, walking, neck release, and balance. I want you to hold on to this final, most important thought: the human brain is capable of growth, not just survival, even in your 70s, 80s, and 90s. I remember Mrs. Ruth S., an 86-year-old patient whose family was preparing for the worst. She could not reliably recall the names of her 5 great-grandchildren. It was crushing for her. She cried on my shoulder. We started these routines slowly, yes, but consistently. 3 months later, her granddaughter called me, absolutely weeping with joy. Ruth had spent an entire afternoon baking with the children, addressing each one by their correct name, laughing, and giving instructions. Her mind wasn't perfect, but she was back. Her family had their matriarch back. That is why I feel this urgency. That is why I am sitting here, spending my time talking to you. It is not too late. The small, simple actions, performed frequently, may help support the blood vessels. They will encourage the release of those essential growth factors. They will wake up the sleeping parts of your mind. So, tonight, before you settle in, will you do your pa-ka-ra drill? Will you take that brisk walk tomorrow? I am 70 years old. I rely on these routines myself. I see the evidence every single day. You have the power within you to become your own memory guardian. Do not let that fear control you anymore. Take back the control, 3 minutes at a time. Commit to your mind. Commit to your future. And please, if this message resonated, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your share might be the push that saves someone else's precious memories. Thank you for listening. Be well, be happy, and keep that incredible mind sharp.